Eric had always hated Alex Harrington. It wasn't the kind of hate that simmered quietly. It was a full-throated roar, born in the pressure cooker halls of Yale Law, where they'd clawed for the same internships, the same accolades, the same fleeting nods from professors who treated ambition like oxygen. Alex, with his golden boy charm and trust fund polish, had stolen everything. Eric's spot on the Harvard Review, his girlfriend in sophomore year, not that it mattered now, and worst of all, the illusion that hard work alone could level the playing field. By the time they both landed at rival firms in Manhattan, Eric grinding at a scrappy underdog boutique, Alex gliding through the glass towers of Preston and Hale, their rivalry had calcified into something personal, poisonous. Late-night depositions turned into whispered barbs. Courtroom stares lingered like loaded guns. It was supposed to be a simple revenge plot. 6 months ago, at the annual Bar Association gala in the bowels of the Waldorf Astoria, Eric had been 3 whiskeys deep, nursing a grudge after Alex poached his star witness in a high-stakes merger case. The room buzzed with power suits and fake laughs, the air thick with cigar smoke and the clink of deals being sealed over caviar. That's when Tommy Ruiz, Eric's old frat brother turned sleazy venture capitalist, sidled up with that shark grin. "You want to bury Harrington? I gotta play. My firm's backing his old man's real estate empire, shaky as hell post-recession. But there's a loophole, family law clause. If Alex ties the knot with someone stable by year's end, he unlocks a trust fund that props up the whole shebang. Without it, collapse. Total ruin." Eric laughed it off at first, the whiskey blurring the edges. But Tommy leaned in, eyes gleaming. "Bet you a cool mill you can't pull it off. Marry the bastard yourself. Fake it till the ink dries, 6 months, tops. You get half the payout when the dust settles, and I short the stock for the rest. He wakes up broke, you wake up rich. Poetic justice, right?" The words hooked into Eric like barbed wire. $1 million. Enough to buy out his firm, escape the endless billable hour grind, maybe even fund that pro bono clinic he dreamed of since law school. And Alex? Watching that smug empire crumble would taste sweeter than any verdict. Eric shook on it before the buzz faded, sealing the deal with a napkin scribble and a shot of Patron. What could go wrong? Alex was straight as an arrow, or so the rumors went. Endless parade of Manhattan socialites on his arm, never a whisper of anything else. Eric could play the devoted husband, collect his check, and ghost. The proposal was a masterstroke of manipulation. Eric bumped into Alex at a charity auction in Soho, feigned a tipsy confession over auction Basquiat's, spinning a yarn about a recent coming out and a desperate need for cover after his conservative family's disownment. Alex, ever the opportunist, bit hard. The trust fund loomed like a guillotine. His father's health was failing, the board circling. "Why me?" Alex had asked, suspicion sharpening those emerald eyes. Eric shrugged, heart pounding under the lie. "Because you're the only one who'd get it. No strings. Just stability." Alex paused, then nodded, sealing it with a clink of glasses. "Deal. But if this blows up, you're collateral." The wedding was a spectacle. Vows exchanged under the dripping awnings of Central Park's Bethesda Terrace on a drizzly May afternoon, paparazzi flashing like lightning. Eric's suit itched, the ring on his finger a foreign weight, but he sold it. Tender glances, a chaste kiss that lingered just long enough to sell the fairy tale. Guests cooed over the surprise romance, toasting to love conquering all. Tommy wired the first installment that night, $250K, a down payment on vengeance. Eric felt invincible, slipping into their shared penthouse on the Upper West Side like a spy in enemy territory. But the first crack appeared on their honeymoon in the Hamptons, or what passed for one. Alex had insisted on it, citing optics for the society pages. The beach house was all weathered shingles and salt air, waves crashing like accusations. Eric spent the first day nursing a beer on the deck, plotting escape routes, while Alex paced inside, barking into his phone about quarterly reports. Dinner was a farce. Lobster thermidor and forced small talk about Yale days, each word laced with subtext. "You always were the fighter," Alex said, swirling his wine, that infuriating half-smile playing on his lips. "Remember that moot court? You shredded my closing like it was tissue paper." Eric's grip tightened on his fork. "And you charmed the judges into forgetting it." Classic Harrington. Alex laughed, low and genuine, and for a split second, Eric saw it. The boy beneath the armor, the one who'd shown up to class with shadows under his eyes after his mom's overdose, back when trust funds couldn't buy therapy. But Eric shoved it down. This was a job. To new beginnings, Alex toasted, clinking glasses. Eric echoed it, the lie bitter on his tongue. Nights blurred into a tense domesticity. Mornings, Alex was out before dawn, conquering boardrooms. Evenings, he'd collapse on the leather sectional with case files, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded from weekend rowing on the Hudson. Eric watched from the kitchen island, stirring pasta or scrolling briefs, stealing glances he told himself were reconnaissance. Alex's laugh lines crinkled when he read the Times op-eds aloud, mocking the pundits. His hands, steady and surgeon-precise, gestured wildly during debates over Supreme Court rulings. Once, after a brutal loss in federal court, Alex came home hollow-eyed, pouring scotch neat. Eric, against every instinct, slid onto the stool beside him. "Hey, you got this. Next one's yours." Alex looked up, surprise softening the edges. "Yeah? Even after I stole your thunder last month." Eric shrugged, pulse hammering. "Water under the bridge. We're family now." The word hung heavy, and Alex's gaze lingered, something unspoken flickering. That night, as rain lashed the floor-to-ceiling windows, they talked, really talked, for the first time. About Yale's ghosts, the pressure of legacies, the loneliness of climbing ladders greased with expectation. Alex admitted the trust fund wasn't just money. It was his dad's dying wish, a tether to a family fraying at the seams. Eric nodded, guilt gnawing like acid, but he leaned in, their shoulders brushing. It was acting, he reminded himself. Method acting. By week 3, the lines blurred. Alex started leaving notes on the fridge. Trial ran late. Tie in the oven. And Eric found himself smiling, plating it with a flourish. They fell into a rhythm. Friday nights at dive bars in the village, shooting pool and trading barbs. Lazy Sundays hiking the Palisades. Alex's competitive streak turning trails into races. One evening, buzzed on IPAs at a Hell's Kitchen pub, Alex slung an arm around Eric's shoulders, pulling him close to dodge a rowdy bachelorette party. The warmth lingered long after, Eric's skin buzzing like a live wire. He ignored it, buried it under spreadsheets tracking the bet's timeline. 3 months in, trust fund secured, payout imminent. Tommy called weekly, voice oily. "Keep him hooked, kid. That rings your ticket out." Eric hung up each time, staring at the skyline, wondering when revenge started tasting like regret. The first real kiss happened by accident, or so Eric told himself. It was a humid July night, post a rooftop fundraiser for Lambda Legal, the city's queer elite toasting under string lights. Alex, tipsy on rose, had danced with him, slow, swaying, his breath hot against Eric's ear. "You're not half bad at this husband thing," he'd murmured, and Eric's laugh died in his throat as their eyes locked, the city a distant hum. Back home, fumbling with keys in the elevator, Alex pinned him against the brass wall, lips crashing in a kiss that tasted of salt and surrender. Eric froze, then melted, hands fisting in Alex's shirt, pulling him closer. It was fire, teeth and tongues, Alex's groan vibrating through him like thunder. They stumbled into the penthouse, shedding clothes like sins, bodies tangling on the king-sized bed they'd shared platonically for months. Alex's touch was reverent, mapping Eric's scars from a childhood of hand-me-downs and absent dads, whispering praises that shattered Eric's defenses. "God, Eric, you're everything." In the afterglow, sweat-slick and spent, Eric lay staring at the ceiling, Alex's head on his chest, heartbeat sinking like a secret code. This wasn't the plan. Love wasn't the script. But as Alex's fingers traced lazy circles on his skin, Eric felt the walls crack, a warmth seeping in he couldn't name, or wouldn't. Summer bled into fall, the city shedding its green in fiery bursts that mirrored the blaze building between them. Eric woke to Alex's coffee brewing, the scent weaving through steam like a promise, and for the first time in years, law felt less like a battlefield and more like a shared war room. They'd huddle over laptops in the sun-drenched living room, feet tangled under the coffee table, debating antitrust clauses until laughter overtook logic. Alex's intensity was addictive, those green eyes narrowing in focus, then softening when he'd catch Eric staring, pulling him in for a kiss that started soft and spiraled into urgency. But the bet loomed, a shadow Eric couldn't outrun. Tommy's texts escalated. 2 months left. Don't get soft, seal the deal. Eric deleted them in the dead of night, phone screen glowing like a guilty conscience, while Alex slept beside him, face slack in vulnerability. Guilt twisted sharper with every stolen moment. The way Alex's hand found his under conference tables at firm mixers, or how he'd murmur, "I love you," after a particularly grueling day, the words slipping out casual as breathing. Eric echoed them back, tasting the half-truth, his heart a traitor pounding yes even as his mind screamed stop. The first real conflict erupted over Labor Day weekend, a trip to Alex's family estate in the Berkshires. The drive up was idyllic, windows down, indie rock blasting from the Maserati speakers, Alex's hand on Eric's thigh like it belonged there. But the house, a sprawling Tudor with manicured lawns and portraits of Harrington patriarchs glowering from oak-paneled walls, felt like stepping into a cage. Alex's father, Reginald, was a ghost of a man, frail in his wheelchair, eyes sharp as scalpels. "So, this is the one who tamed my wild son," he rasped over brandy in the library, appraising Eric like a racehorse. Alex tensed beside him, jaw tight, but Eric played the part, charming anecdotes about their whirlwind romance, a hand squeeze under the table that felt perilously real. Dinner devolved into ambush. Reginald's sister, Aunt Vivian, a Botoxed harpy in pearls, cornered Eric by the fireplace. "Darling, we adore a good redemption arc, but Alexander's always been particular. You're not just a phase, are you? The trust stipulates stability, real stability." Her smile was a blade. Eric's stomach churned. He glimpsed Alex across the room, laughing with cousins, oblivious. "Phases end," Eric replied coolly, "but this is forever." The lie burned, but it bought peace, until bedtime, when Alex pulled him into the guest suite, kissing him fiercely against the four-poster bed. "Sorry about them. They're relics. You're my future." That night, tangled in silk sheets, Eric came undone, tears pricking as Alex moved inside him, slow and worshipful. "I need you," Alex whispered, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling. Eric clung tighter, whispering back, "I'm here," even as the dam cracked. Love. It was love, stupid and inevitable, blooming in the ruins of his scheme. He hated himself for it, for wanting this man who'd once embodied every failure, for craving the softness Alex hid from the world. Back in the city, the high faded under fluorescent office lights. Eric's firm hit a rough patch. A botched class action suit left him buried in motions, pulling all-nighters that left him hollow-eyed and short-tempered. Alex noticed, of course, he always did. One October evening, Eric dragged home at midnight, suit rumpled, to find the penthouse aglow with candles, takeout from their favorite dim sum spot steaming on the table. Alex, in sweats and a faded Yale tee, pulled him into a bear hug. "Rough day." "Worse," Eric muttered, collapsing onto the couch. Alex straddled his lap, hands framing his face, thumbs brushing away exhaustion. "Tell me." And he did, spilling about the partners breathing down his neck, the fear of burning out before 30, the gnawing doubt that law was just a fancy cage for his ideals. Alex listened, then kissed his temple. "You're the best damn lawyer I know. Not because you win, but because you fight for the underdogs, the ones the system chews up. That's why He trailed off, cheeks flushing. "Why I fell for you." Eric's throat tightened. The bet's deadline ticked closer, 6 weeks now. Tommy had upped the ante, promising bonuses if Eric accelerated the dissolution. But dissolution meant losing this. Alex's head in his lap as they binge-watched old noir films, quoting Bogart with mock gravitas. Lazy blowjobs in the shower, water cascading like absolution. Quiet mornings where Alex traced Eric's tattoos, a faded anchor from his Navy dad, a phoenix from his own rebirth, and asked about the stories behind them, piecing Eric together like a puzzle he cherished. The breaking point came mid-November, a Friday the 13th, fittingly ominous. Eric was in a deposition in Midtown, grilling a witness on embezzlement, when his phone buzzed. Tommy, frantic. "Change of plans. Harrington Holdings is tanking faster than we thought. We need the marriage annulled by December 1st to trigger the short. Fake a fight, file papers. Your cut doubles, $2 million. Eric's vision tunneled, the witness's words fading to static. Annulment. It meant freedom, cash, escape from the grind, vindication. But also, goodbye to Alex's coffee-scented hugs, his laughter echoing in empty halls, the way he looked at Eric like he was the verdict that mattered. He texted back, on it, but his hands shook as he pocketed the phone. That night, Alex sensed the shift, like a barometer dropping before the storm. They were at a speakeasy in the Bowery, jazz humming low, when Eric picked a fight, small, stupid, over Alex's flirty banter with the bartender. "It's nothing," Alex protested, but Eric's voice rose, laced with venom dredged from old wounds. "Everything's a game to you, isn't it? Charm, conquer, discard." Alex's face crumpled, hurt flashing raw. "What the hell, Eric? This is us. You're my husband. The word, husband, landed like a gut punch. They stormed out separately, the cab ride home a silent war zone. Eric slammed the bedroom door, curling into himself as sobs racked his frame. This was mercy, he told himself. Better to end it now, before the truth gutted them both. But Alex didn't let go. He slipped into bed at dawn, arms wrapping around Eric from behind, voice muffled against his neck. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Don't shut me out. I love you, God. I love you so much it scares me. Eric broke then, turning to bury his face in Alex's chest, the dam bursting in whispers of forgiveness and fevered touches. They made love like it was the end, desperate, devouring, bodies slick with sweat and unspoken fears. Afterward, Alex held him close, fingers combing through damp hair. Marry me for real, he murmured. Not the contract. Us. Eric's heart splintered. Yes, he lied, the word a knife twist. But as Alex slept, peace softening his features, Eric slipped from the sheets, padding to the study. The bet slip stared up from the drawer, ink faded but damning. He tore it to shreds, fingers trembling, and deleted Tommy's number. No more games. Whatever came, he'd face it. With Alex, truths be damned. Or so he thought. The real storm brewed in the form of Vivian's machinations. She'd hired a PI months ago, sniffing for scandals to protect the family name. The report landed in Reginald's lap days later. Photos of Tommy and Eric at the gala, napkin bet unfolded like a smoking gun. Your son's married a fraud. Vivian crowed over speakerphone, voice dripping triumph. Reginald, wheezing, summoned Alex to the estate that gray Sunday. Eric paced the penthouse, oblivious, prepping brunch, avocado toast and mimosas, a peace offering after their blowout. When Alex burst through the door hours later, face ashen, the world tilted. Tell me it's not true, he demanded, thrusting printouts at Eric. The gala pics, transcribed bet terms, Tommy's wire transfers circled in red. You married me. For a payout? To watch me burn. Eric's knees buckled. Alex, I don't. Alex's voice shattered, eyes glassy with betrayal. I trusted you, loved you, and it was all a fucking bet. He laughed, bitter and broken, backing toward the door. You win, Eric. You always do. The slam echoed like finality. Eric sank to the floor, shards of their life, mugs shattered in the fray, cutting into his palms. He'd torched the slip too late. The man he'd fallen for, the enemy turned anchor, was gone. And in the ruins, Eric realized, revenge was a hollow crown, but love? Love was the only verdict that stuck. Winter clamped down on Manhattan like a vice, the first snow blanketing the city in indifferent white. Eric moved through days on autopilot, court appearances blurred into depositions, coffee black and bitter as his thoughts. The penthouse, once a cocoon, echoed with ghosts. Alex's forgotten rowing jersey slung over a chair, a half-read copy of To Kill a Mockingbird dog-eared on the nightstand. He'd tried calling, texts piling up unread. Please, let me explain. It started as a bet, but you're real. Silence answered, colder than the wind howling off the Hudson. Tommy, predictably, crowed victory from his Tribeca loft. 2 mil wired tomorrow, buddy. You played it like a pro. Fight, flight, fortune. Eric met him at a midtown steakhouse, the kind with blood-red walls and deals sealed in aged scotch. Call it off, he said flatly, shoving the annulment papers across the table, and signed, unfiled. Tommy's fork paused midair, steak juices pooling like accusation. The hell? You tanked it. It was never about the money. Eric's voice steadied, the truth a lifeline. Not anymore. Wire it back, or I go public. Your shorts, the bet, everything. Tommy's laugh died under Eric's stare. You're serious? Over that prick. A beat, then a shrug. Fine. Your funeral. But Harrington's done. Trust revoked, stock plummeting. You saved him for what? Pride. Eric didn't answer. Pride? No. It was penance. He left the restaurant into a flurry of flurries, the city lights haloed in ice. Back home, he packed Alex's things, suits folded with care, that damn jersey laundered and laid atop, leaving a note. I'm sorry. The keys under the mat. This place is yours. I never deserved it. He crashed at his firm's crash pad, a utilitarian sublet in Chelsea, waking to nightmares of green eyes turning to stone. Word spread through the legal grapevine like flu season, whispers in elevators, sidelong glances at CLE seminars. Heard about Kane and Harrington? What a cluster. Eric bore it with chin up, channeling the pain into work. A pro bono eviction defense for a queer couple facing homelessness. won on a technicality that felt like small salvation. But nights were the killer, lying awake in the narrow bed, replaying their last fight. Alex's voice cracking on husband. He'd scroll old photos on his phone, them at Coney Island, cotton candy-streaked grins. Alex asleep on his shoulder during a red-eye to DC, vulnerable as a boy. 2 weeks in, a olive branch. A manila envelope slid under his office door, no return address. Inside, annulment papers, signed by Alex, dated, notarized. A check fluttered out, $500,000, scribbled for the clinic. No strings. Eric's chest caved. Mercy, wrapped in rejection. He tore the check, mailing the shreds to Tommy's office with a single word, earn. The high point of that bleak December was the firm's holiday party, a forced march through tinsel and eggnog at a Flatiron loft. Eric nursed a gin and tonic, dodging small talk, when Tommy cornered him by the mistletoe. Harrington's out. Firm dumped him yesterday. Your little stunt? Cost him everything. Eric's blood-iced. Alex, adrift in a city that devoured the fallen. He bolted, hailing a cab to the Upper West Side, heart slamming. The penthouse was dark, snow piling on the balcony like unshed tears. Eric let himself in with his spare force of habit, and found Alex amid the wreckage. Boxes half-packed, photos face down, a tumbler of bourbon clutched like a talisman. He looked wrecked, stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes red-rimmed, that unbreakable poise fractured. What are you doing here? Alex rasped, not rising from the floor. To say I'm sorry. Again. Eric sank beside him, the carpet rough under his slacks. It was a bet, yeah? Stupid, vengeful bullshit from a guy who hated losing. But you. From that first real talk, the Hamptons, the way you saw me, not the rival, not the underdog, you changed everything. I fell, Alex. Hard. And I was too scared to admit it. Alex stared at the wall, jaw working. Scared? You gutted me. I built walls my whole life. Dad's expectations, Mom's ghost, the boardroom sharks. Thought you were the one who got past them. Turns out you were just another blade. His voice broke, and Eric ached to touch, but held back. I know, and I'll spend forever making it right, if you'll let me. The bet's dead, canceled, shredded. Tommy's shorts tanked without the trigger. Your trust. Reginald called me last week. Said the board's reconsidering, family first. A lie, half-spun from a voicemail plea, but desperation lent it wings. Alex's laugh was hollow. Family. Right. Vivian's poison spread. Dad's cutting me off regardless. But you know what hurts most? I was happy. With you. Woke up excited for once, not dreading the grind. And it was fake. It wasn't. Eric shifted closer, voice fierce. Every kiss, every night. That was me, loving you. The real Eric. The one who wants mornings with your burnt toast and evenings arguing Foucault. Marry me again. For us. Silence stretched, taut as a wire. Then Alex turned, eyes searching, raw with the war between fury and longing. Prove it, he whispered, and Eric did, leaning in slow, giving Alex the choice. Their lips met tentative, then hungry, months of ache pouring out in gasps and grips. They made it to the couch, clothes shed in a frenzy, bodies rediscovering like lost maps. Alex's hands trembled on Eric's skin, reverent and reclaiming, whispers of mine, mingling with sobs. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start, fragile as fresh snow. Dawn crept in, painting them in silver light. They lay entwined, Alex's head on Eric's chest, heartbeat steadying. I don't know if I can trust this, he admitted softly. But damn if I don't want to try. Eric kissed his temple, resolve hardening. Then we'll build it. Brick by brick. No bets, no games. Just us. But trust, like snow, melted under scrutiny. January brought the real tempest. Reginald's summons, a frostbitten afternoon at the estate. Vivian presided like a vulture, the PI's full dossier splayed on the mahogany table, every text, every wire, Tommy's deposition threatening to spill if the trust wasn't frozen. He's a gold digger, Alexander, she sneered. Used you like a mark. Alex's hand tightened on Eric's under the table, but his voice was steel. Enough. I know what I feel. And Eric? He's staying. Reginald, spectral in his chair, wheezed a laugh. Love's a luxury, son, but blood's thicker. Sign the papers, divorce him, or lose it all. The ultimatum hung, a guillotine. Alex met Eric's eyes, conflict raging. I can't, he said finally, to his father. Not without him. The room erupted. Vivian's shrieks, Reginald's coughs. But Alex stood, pulling Eric with him. We're done here. Outside, snow swirled. The drive back a blur of white-knuckled silence. "You sure?" Eric asked, voice small. Alex glanced over, smile tentative but real. "Terrified. But yeah, you're worth more than any empire." It was the first victory, small, seismic. They filed countersuits against Vivian's PI, leaked Tommy's shady dealings to the Journal, turning the tide. By Valentine's, the trust teetered reinstated, but Alex waved it off. "Screw the money. Let's start clean. Our firm, pro bono focus. You and me against the world." Eric laughed, pulling him close in their reclaimed kitchen, the city a glittering witness below. Love, it turned out, wasn't a bet or a blade. It was this, messy, mended, magnificently theirs. Spring unfurled in hesitant blooms, mirroring the cautious thaw in their world. The penthouse shed its shadows, boxes unpacked, walls repainted a warm sage that caught the morning light just so. Eric and Alex dove into the new venture, Harrington and Kane, a boutique firm tucked into a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights, specializing in queer rights and corporate whistleblowers. The launch was low-key, an open house with craft beer and case studies pinned like art, but the buzz hummed. Two titans, once foes, now allies. Clients trickled in, a trans teen fighting school expulsion, a tech exec outing predatory NDAs. Late nights blurred into collaborations, laptops aglow, takeout cartons littering the floor as they brainstormed strategies, feet tangled under the desk. Intimacy rebuilt in layers, tender and tested. Mornings started with coffee rituals, Alex grinding beans with exaggerated flair, Eric teasing his barista brows, escalating to countertop kisses that left them late for depositions. Nights were sacred. Walks along the promenade, skyline sprawling like a shared dream, hands clasped against the chill. Sex evolved too, from the frantic reclaiming of winter to something slower, exploratory. Alex learning the arch of Eric's back under candlelight, Eric mapping the freckles dusting Alex's shoulders like constellations. "I love you," Alex would say post-climax, no hesitation, and Eric believed it. The words a balm on old scars. Yet doubts lingered, insidious as weeds. Alex's flinches at sudden silences, Eric's nightmares of that slammed door. They surfaced in quiet moments, demanding air. Therapy became non-negotiable. Weekly sessions at a cozy office in Park Slope. Dr. Lena's no-bullshit approach peeling back the onions. "Betrayal's a fracture," she'd say, her Brooklyn accent blunt. "Doesn't heal clean, but it heals." They went together, holding hands in the waiting room, emerging raw but closer. Alex admitting his fear of abandonment rooted in his mother's ghost. Eric confessing the bet's origin in his own daddy issues, the Navy vet who'd bailed when Eric came out at 16. The real test came in April, a case that hit too close. A young lawyer suing his firm for wrongful termination after a same-sex harassment claim. The opposition? Preston and Hale, Alex's old haunt, now helmed by a viper named Marcus Hale, who'd mentored Alex before turning rival. Discovery unearthed emails. Hale mocking the plaintiff as delusional fairy, worse. But buried deeper, a thread tying back to Vivian, who'd funneled dirt to Hale, weaponizing family grudges. Court day dawned brutal, rain lashing Federal Plaza like judgment. Eric led the charge, voice steady as he eviscerated Hale on the stand. "You built an empire on fear, Mr. Hale. But fear crumbles under truth." Alex watched from counsel table, pride warring with ghosts. Hale's eyes flicking to him, accusatory. The verdict dropped like thunder, $2.5 million, plus injunctions. The plaintiff hugged them both, tears streaming, and in the hallway chaos, Alex pulled Eric into a stairwell, kissing him fierce against the concrete. "You were brilliant. My hero." But euphoria cracked that night. Over Low Main in their loft, now cluttered with case files and a ficus Eric insisted on for luck, Alex's phone buzzed. Reginald, voice frail over speaker. "Proud of you, son. But Vivian's pushing a board vote. Divest the trust unless you distance from him." The line died, static hissing. Alex's face drained, fork clattering. "It's never over, is it? They won't let us be." Eric reached across, thumb stroking his knuckles. "Then we fight. Together. No more running." The counteroffensive was surgical. Eric drafted a shareholder letter. Alex leveraged old alliances, exposing Vivian's embezzlement scheme from estate funds, a petty $200,000, but damning. The board flipped, reinstating the trust with strings cut. Reginald called a week later, wheeze laced with gruff affection. "You're stubborn as your mother. Keep him close. He's good for you." Vivian slunk to Palm Beach, tail between legs. Summer solstice brought catharsis. A vow renewal in the same Central Park spot, minus the spectacle, just them, Dr. Lena officiating in Birkenstocks, a picnic of PB and JS and Rose. They wrote their own oaths. Alex vowing, to choose you every dawn, no empires required. Eric promising, to build with you, not against, from the boy who bet wrong to the man who bets on us. Rings exchanged, simple platinum bands, engraved no games, and they kissed under the angel's gaze, tears salting the sweetness. Life settled into rhythm, profound in its ordinary. Weekends at Fire Island, bonfires and beach volleyball with queer friends who'd become family. Eric's clinic thriving, funded by their pooled savings. Alex adopting a rescue mutt named Scout, who claimed the bed like a furry referee. Milestones marked the mend, a year since the bet, toasted with whiskey neat, laughter eclipsing regret. But humanity's arc bends toward growth, not perfection. One crisp October eve, as leaves skittered across the Brooklyn Bridge, Alex proposed a pilgrimage, Yale, to exorcise demons. They wandered the quad hand in hand, alumni stairs be damned, pausing at the law library steps where their rivalry ignited. Hate you less now, Alex quipped, and Eric shoved him playfully, pulling him into a kiss that drew whistles from undergrads. Back in the city, challenges persisted, a Supreme Court brief on marriage equality amendments, keeping them up till 3 a.m. Eric's migraine flares, soothed by Alex's steady hands, the quiet terror of forever, voiced in therapy. What if I break us again? Dr. Lena's refrain, then mend it. Love's not static, it's verb. By Thanksgiving, the firm boomed, 20 staff, a waiting list for intakes. They hosted dinner in the brownstone, mismatched chairs groaning under turkey and queer kin. Tommy, reformed and sheepish, toasting amends. The evicted couple, now homeowners, carving the bird. Laughter filled the air, thick as gravy, and Eric caught Alex's eye across the chaos, that green gaze warm, unwavering. As snow dusted the windows once more, Eric reflected on the bet's ashes. From enmity's forge came something unbreakable. Love, he'd learned, wasn't a plan or a payout. It was the mess, the fights, the falls, the fierce choosing. And in Alex's arms, city humming below, Eric knew. They'd won, not against each other, but for the life they'd dared to claim. In the end, it wasn't happily ever after, but wholly, humanly theirs, flawed, fierce, forever.